Hey there! Did you know Kroger always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Kroger app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Kroger today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Empire.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report wherever you get your podcast. You're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Empire Media. That's AMPIRE. Always much appreciated when you tune in, and you can always read my work on ESPN.com. And if you want to become a member of the show, go to the Empire Media YouTube page, you see the join button, click on that, find a membership that you're happy with, go from there. And there you go. Thank you very much for all those who've become members already. Now, in a few minutes, in a little bit, I'm going to play you my conversation I had with new defensive line coach Darryl Tapp. Now, it's going to be the last 5 minutes of the show. It's just audio. When I record these, more often than not, I'm going to do it with my recorder when it's just a one-on-one, and I'm not sticking a camera in some guy's face when it's just a one-on-one. It's a better interview the way I did it. If you want to just watch the video, there's no video. It's audio. This is a bonus. So I appreciate those of you who stick around and listen to it. And it'll be the last 5 minutes of the show. So before I get there, I want to talk about a few different topics, starting with the story I wrote for ESPN.com the other day on going inside the hire of Dan Quinn. Now, you go back and read the story. It's on ESPN.com now. A couple things stood out to me during this, and also I think to the Commanders' leadership about Quinn and why they liked him throughout. Again, I'm never going to say that he was the number one guy the whole way, because nobody there said that. You know, they kept an open mind through this process. That's why when you heard somebody was a lock to be a coach, they're just wrong. Anyway, so, but here's why they liked Quinn. Now, one of the things starts with that some of the people they heard from throughout the process, unprompted, like Falcons owner, Arthur Blank, contacted Josh Harris to say some good things about Quinn. You had Steve Kerr, Golden State coach, texted Bob Myers and put in his 2 cents to hire Dan Quinn. And Richard Sherman called Adam Peters to talk about that. And Peters also talked to Kyle Shanahan during the playoff run just about Quinn and his experience with him. And I was told that listen, I know Kyle well enough. He's not effusive in his praise for other people. He was effusive in his praise for Quinn. So that's some of the stuff. And then also the other thing that really stood out was that 360 review that Quinn did. And he did that with Laura Oakman, who's a TV reporter for Fox. She does a lot of training with coaches or work with coaches and in various ways. But one of the things she did with Quinn after he left the Falcons was what he termed a 360 review. She just calls it focusing on his blind spots. So what this entails is, and if you read the story, it's all in there, but for those who didn't, what it entails is he gives her a list of names. He gave her a list of 50 names. It can't be just like, oh, people who are going to sing your praises. These are blind spots. So she requested people who you may have fired, who maybe you think didn't like you, maybe somebody you cut, maybe somebody you passed over for a job. She then takes that list and she contacted as many as she could. She said she told me she talked to about 30 to 40 people, and then she reports back. It's a really tough process because you have to be willing to hear what people say. And this is all anonymous. He did not find out who said what. The only way that Laura can do her job right in the future is by granting this anonymity to these coaches. And she had told me that Quinn never even asked, well, who was that from? Or even said, oh, I know who that was from. But so she goes and gathers all this stuff. And obviously this is over months. And then she gives this detailed report and kind of sums up what people said. and then delivers it to him via a video conference call, a Zoom. And one of the things that she said, that there were people that would point out blind spots, but she said a lot of them would come back and say, they would say X, Y, and Z, maybe he spreads himself too thin or this or that. But they'd also say, but I love the guy. So, and you don't have to, I'm not trying to make you sold on it. I'm just telling you why they were very sold. But it wasn't so much what people said about Quinn that sold them. That's just explaining the process. What they liked is that he did this process, Quinn has a growth mindset for people, and I think they recognize that very much. But that's what attracted them to him, is that mindset of always trying to evolve in a situation, right? And so forget whatever people said, it's what he took from that. And then what he took from that, he used it in Dallas. So for example, there were in the past, if a coach is having an issue with something, he might jump in and just help him with it and do this, or maybe say, instead of saying, hey, I need this from you in 5 days, he'd just go in and help him with it, whatever. In Dallas, he started delegating more, and he would say, listen, here's what I need, get this to me in 4 days, whatever it is. And so it gives the coach more responsibility, more accountability, also helps the coach grow and develop, but it also allows Quinn to then focus on other things. And so that's one of the things that he took from that 360 review. And then the other part of that was the coaching staff. And some of that was in there, but a lot of that was what Quinn learned about himself, is that you need to set up the better succession staff that has a better succession plan. And I know I've talked to you about this before, but that was one of the things that jumped out to the people involved in the process about why they liked him so much. Again, the succession plan was a big deal, and because not everybody, it might sound logical that a coach would have that, but there was a different level of depth to his answers compared to everybody else in the process. And a lot of that is he's done it before. He knows how important it is to get that right. I don't think everybody realizes how hard it is to build a good staff, but I think if you've gone through it, you have a much stronger idea. I think it also helped. One difference, everybody talks about the Rivera 2.0. This is not that. But one of the differences here is that Rivera went straight from Carolina to here, essentially. I mean, there was obviously a month gap, but there was no time to really, really kind of look back and what happened and what went wrong at the end there versus, okay, this is where it was. Just bring these people with me. Let's go. Quinn had a long time to think about what went wrong and had a detailed plan about how he would handle the next step. Now, is it going to be more successful? Don't know. Nobody can predict that. But this is why they liked him a lot throughout the process. So, and I know, and I think I told you too, that, people there, and I talked to multiple people who were in the room, not guessing but they were in the room. And one of the things that they said, they heard from significantly more people about Quinn reaching out about him or just coming up to them at various places and just talking about him. And some of them wanted to be on the staff. Some of them had jobs, didn't need to leave, but they just wanted to kind of give their, backing or support to Quinn. But anyways, and I think you see the kind of staff that was assembled. That's a lot of what people, I think you seem to attract a good staff. Again, we'll see where this goes. Long way to go. We're just starting. But again, I'm just telling you why they were attracted to him. And that was all in the story. Worked on it for a while. And if you haven't read it, go give it a read on ESPN.com. But now you kind of got the nuts and bolts, the Cliff Notes version. And not a Cliff Kingsbury version, but the Cliff's Notes version. There you go. Now, the other thing I want to talk about before I get a couple more items, and then we'll get to my 5-minute little jaunt with Darryl Tap, but is Sam Howell's trade value. Now, there was a story out by Ralph Vacchiano. He works for Fox Sports. He covered the Giants for various New York publications. But he had a story out the other day, just kind of gauging what would Sam Howell's trade value be. And he said that some people told him that Washington could get a 3rd-round pick. So I did ask around. I asked a few people what they thought of that. And I don't know what they're going to get. I don't even know if they'll trade him. Like this, I'm not pushing Sam out the door. I've told you, I think the kid can play in this league, and then I'd have no issue with them keeping him around. The only thing what I don't know is what if Washington decides, hey, we like Jaden Daniels or Drake May, and they want to pair him with a Jacoby Brissett or someone like that. Then, and this, like, let him grow without having someone else here. And then if you really want to get another young guy in, you can always add that guy next year. And, because with Sam, he has 2 years left on his deal, which is attractive to another team as a starter. But if you're looking to groom a backup, then you might be grooming him, and in 2 years, you may have to pay him. So it may be more palatable to them to then, if in that scenario, is just to maybe look to trade him. And then you got your young kid, you got your veteran. And then if you want to get your Brock Purdy type, you can get that guy next year if you want to go that route. But I'm only bringing it up is just because we have to explore every scenario, right? But anyway, now I'm going to get into that more of this later, but I did ask around briefly. And I think there's some teams that definitely, if they view him as a high-end backup / starter, that's the value of that role can be a 3rd round pick. So if that's the case, there may be a team out there that would do it, because some people I talked to thought, like, yeah, I could see that. Will that happen? I don't know. But that's just something that I found interesting, because I mean, again, that's the value they put on that. It just shows you how important it is to have a very good backup. And as I've told you, Sam knows the air raid offense. Now, you say he knows the air raid offense. He knows a version of it. What they're going to play here is not what he played or used in Carolina, but he understands the concepts. He understands the pass game concepts, and he understands, what you need to do to be effective in that offense. But if they wanted to go a different way, then that you could look for. Whether or not they get a 3rd round pick, I don't know, but I do think that if there's an analytics bent to it, the analytics would probably show, well, I know this because I've talked to people, would show that the value of what he can offer, or if somebody views him that way, that's what you could possibly get. Anyway, now the other thing is, on Tuesday at the Combine, both Adam Peters and Dan Quinn will address the media. And so we'll hear from them about various topics, and it's the first chance to really talk to them since Dan Quinn was hired, and and I think that'll be hopefully find some nuggets out of information there. They'll clearly be asked about the quarterback situation, as far as what are you going to do with the number 2 pick? I mean, they're not going to say. One thing about this group, I think they're going to be very good at staying on message. I think this is a fairly disciplined group in that regard. So I think they'll be good at that. So I don't think you're going to have any slip ups, but it could be like, what are you looking for in that position? Like, what are some of the thought processes? And I think there's also going to be talk about they have a lot of free agents. The guys like Cam Curl, it's been pretty quiet on a lot of fronts. So what is anything going to happen here or before free agency? We still have a few weeks, but so they'll be asked about that as well. And the other thing is that the Combine is kind of an interesting thing, because not every team is sending their coaches now. In fact, the only coach that's there for Washington is Dan Quinn. He's only going to be there, I think it's somebody said, no more than 48 hours. So I wouldn't be shocked if I think he might be going home Tuesday night. Part of what the thinking is that they have scouts there. Adam Peters is going to be there all week. Scouts going to be there. Lance Newmark, new guy, Martin Mayhew, they're all there. And so they're going to have scouts there, and they're going to have people in the interview room, because that's what we need. But for the coaches, they can watch the workouts on Zoom. They can watch the interviews. They're going to be taped. They can watch them on Zoom. So they don't need to all be there. And I think for a new staff, the idea is to stay back, get all your work done now, because they're trying to put so much stuff together that it's a better usage of their time. And they're still going to see the workouts. They're still going to see the interviews, and you're going to have people in there. Not everybody needs to be in there in the interview room, but you're going to have people in there who know how to ask questions, how to parse it. And then you can also meet with these guys at pro days. You can meet with them when they come for their visit to your facility. So, but that's kind of been the trend for a lot of teams too. And the Rams and the 49ers, it's kind of been, so there are a lot of other teams do this way. It's also a good place to start to initiate, whether it's trade talks, meeting with agents, to start focusing on, like, if you're going to have some interest in your guy, let's get together and just kind of feel things out, or signing your own guys, meeting with the agents there. This is the week where that a lot of that stuff can start to happen. And this is also where the Carson Wentz seed was planted. So maybe not a great memory for you guys, but this is where all that stuff happens. That's why while coaches can stay back, GMs will always find value in this week because so many people are there, other GMs, the agents, people that matter for them, helping them put together a team will be there. So that's why they'll continue to go. But the coaches, I think it's going to change a little bit as we go on here. Finally, before I get to Tap, I'm sure you saw that Eric Bieniemy hired as an assistant coach at UCLA. Good for him. Hope he does well. And I think EB's got a lot to learn to grow as a coach. Can he do it? Sure. And I think this will be a good spot for him to grow and see not just, folks, it's never been just about his old school ways. There's just things he has to learn as a coordinator, as a play caller that I think, the players felt, and we wrote about this, that there was a stubbornness, need to be more collaborative. Those are all things that help you grow as a coach. That's why I say I think this will be good for him. Go down there, maybe kind of help grow and develop there, and then hopefully something good for him can break in the NFL down the road. And I know that he said that he felt that he wasn't fired here. Here's what I know: this will become a game of semantics. Whether he's fired, let go, parted ways, he wasn't going to come back. So, and that's all fine. And I'm not trying to dredge anything up here. But what I hope for him is that, that he goes there, does a good job, and that he can continue to work his way up the coach ranks and see what happens from there. So that's all I got. So we got to the end here. So here's my conversation with new defensive line coach, Darryl Tap. You're back and you're close to home. So what does it mean for you to be here?
There's a sense of pride, man. Being a Virginia kid, going to Virginia Tech and playing, and getting a chance to play here in 13, and now to finally be back in a different role as the coach of D-line, it's a sense of pride, man. I know that my family has been lifelong Commanders fans. Family, friends been lifelong Commanders fans. We still have a home in the area from when I played here. It's a sense of pride to me, making sure I work my tail off, give my all to these players and to this coaching staff to make sure we get this program the way we want it to be.
You get a chance to lead a room for the first time on your own. How excited are you for that opportunity?
Very excited, very excited. I mean, I was a co-D-line coach for Virginia Tech.
I know,
too.
yeah. But you're now the guy.
Yes,
you're
sir.
Now the guy.
I'm excited, and the reason I'm excited because for numerous reasons. I get a chance to work with Dan Quinn. I played for Coach DQ in Seattle, my last year in Seattle in 2009. So I know the kind of person he is, the standards he sets. I get to work with Joe Witt, new DC, who is 100% who he is. That was not an act in his press conference. That's genuine who that man is. And then also, because I got some sheer animals in the D-line room.
Yeah, you got a couple fellas.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting just to get around those guys after collaborating with Coach Witt and Coach Quinn and really put these guys in position to go make plays. Now, it's a harder process than just what I just said. I have to make sure that I connect with these guys so that when those moments happen where adversity hits, which it will, that we can be truthful with one another without anybody getting in their feelings or anything like that. We can see eye to eye and get this thing corrected. Me as a former player, I know that's one thing that I appreciated most about playing for Dan Quinn and a couple other coaches that I truly respected and valued, that they poured into me as a person, individual, not as the group, but as Darryl Tap. And when they hit me with truth, good or bad, I was able to accept that and grow from it. I want these guys to have that same experience and get this thing going the right way.
So you played a long time. What?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, which is good.
It is.
So, but what did you learn as a coach that maybe, that where you've improved what you've known? Because obviously when you're playing, but what have you learned as a coach that maybe has made you just a smarter overall, and the ability to be in this spot?
I say the lessons that were being taught as a player, I've been able to see those things full circle now.
Okay.
So it seems in a crazy way that me playing 12 years for 6 different teams and under numerous coordinators and head coaches and schemes, and having so many teammates who prepare me to be a coach, because I honestly feel I can connect with anybody that's in front of my face, whether it be from a game of football, whether it be about life, whether it be about music. I can find some common ground to where me and you can see eye to eye, and we can go and grow from there. And that's probably been the biggest thing that I've learned as a coach, being the bridge that got from player now to being a coach, like connecting with the players that I get a chance to work with to get them to be the best possible person they can be.
Kind of important.
The only thing,
right.
Relationship business.
Right, it is, it is. And then, what have you learned also about how being able to develop players and and just how to reach guys?
Yep, I say the development aspect of players has come largely from being able to work with Chris Casora.
Okay.
That's my guy, my ace, as far as in this football world, because I got to work with him the last 3 years. And the other 2 people would be Jim Washburn, who was also Chris Casora's mentor, and Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn I played with him my last year in Seattle. I went through a situation where I got traded from Seattle to Philadelphia, and kind of caught me off guard. And DQ was constantly in contact with me, walking me through that process, making sure I was sane. Because that's a very traumatic kind of thing when you're not expecting as a player. So those 3 guys have shown me how to develop players and pour into those guys and get them from A to Z, or at least on the path to A to Z, to be the best person they can be.
Last thing, you got 2 guys in the middle.
Yeah.
Two pretty good starting blocks
Hey,
there. What do you think of those 2?
Special. I met Jay Allen today. Massive man.
He's a big
A lot
fan.
of power. And
Yes.
I've always admired those guys from a distance. Even when we played them this past year, when we came to town, I just had to tell the guys are ballers. So having the chance to work with those guys on a day-to-day basis is going to be pretty exciting, knowing that my interior should be stout as we get the scheme together, collaboratively with Coach Quinn and Coach Witt, to get these guys in those positions to make plays. Like it should be fun.
Thanks, Daryl.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it, man. Good to see you.
Yeah.
That's it from me. Thanks to Daryl for chatting up for a few minutes. Thanks to you, as always, for tuning in. I'll be back on Wednesday with another episode talking about what did we learn from Adam Peters and Dan Quinn from their combine interviews on Tuesday. I'll talk to you next time.